Greetings, friends, and welcome to a moon song gathering where we will celebrate the signs of the times, specifically tuned to the aligning new moon in the tropical sign of Libra with Mars and all sorts of astrological and astronomical amazement, which we will find our way to, but actually after part one, which is moon song. For we've created this space for a more artistic honoring of the astrological happening and trying to have it be a little bit less about the math and all that and more about the art. The art of the chart starts in the heart. So I'm very happy to have you here. Some very familiar names on the list I see on the side and some I don't know at all. I ask you please to make sure that your microphone is muted for the musical and storytelling portion of our jam, which will probably run 30, 45, 52 minutes, something like that. And then we will feel free to open our mics and all share. We're getting more and more names in here right now at the magical number 33, which feels fun and quite manageable. But if we get a lot of folks, what I'll probably do regardless at the end is set up some breakout rooms in case you want to go hang in smaller groups and introduce yourself and share. And we'll just see how that goes then. But for now, let's honor this amazing moment through style and song and art and heart. And without further ado, I give to you the wonderful genius of the magical music called Water Eye.
Good to be here with you all. I'm gonna sing a song that I actually wrote. I say that because often I just like to make songs up. Forgive my posture that I'm not looking at you, but we see all sides, right? So this song I wrote while I was gazing at some dark skies and just thinking about light pollution. But it's really expands to the light that is within and without. Filling and down turn your lights on so we can see your shine. From the inside, it is time to arise. Show me all of you. Show me all of me. From the shadow to highest frequency. Show me all of you. Show me all of me. From the shadow to highest frequency. Show me all of you. Show me all of me. From the shadow to highest frequency. Show me all of you. Show me all of me.
You just heard some piano from the great Erik Deutsch, specifically composed to some production notes I wrote to honor the Libra New Moon that will align tomorrow, where I heard so much of this Orpheus and Eurydice story therein. And I'll share those notes with you in a bit and maybe finish the tale. But first, let's hear from Water Eye, who has this amazing gift of creating songs in the moment that you would swear she's sung for all her life.
You have to tell the story before I can make up a song.
Wait, did you not just hear that whole story? Did I have my mic muted?
You told a story? I thought it was all musical.
Wait, did anyone else hear me talking? That's hilarious. Well, I was, but I must have been muted in one of my two places, which is why you should never have two mute buttons. That's funny. Yeah, I was like sitting in the corner drinking tea and talking about Orpheus and Eurydice.
I had a slight feeling that I should have checked in, but I thought you were just sending us all on this epic musical meditation.
Well, which happened, and as I said before, that's the beautiful piano of Erik Deutsch, who was not able to join us live for this gathering today. And you know what? It's better not to speak over such a wonderful song anyway. And so the gods had their way with us, thanks to the guides and the guidesses. And so I guess a quicker version of Orpheus and Eurydice, and let me share this beautiful painting once again. Because I think this is really the tale of this new moon. But please don't feel that it has to be so morbid. For Eurydice, whose life was taken when she was far too young, was given permission to live again in an unprecedented event. So this is Orpheus, who was raised like so many of the great semi-divine ones by Chiron, Centaur, whose horse-like hooves always deepen into the voice of the earth, but human top reaches for the heavens. And Orpheus went with Jason, another one of Chiron's lads, and many others on a great quest, the greatest quest for the Golden Fleece. These were the Argonauts, and they found success, much because of Cupid and Venus. Cupid, who, per his mother's destruction, shot one of his arrows into the heart of Medea, who helped Jason claim the prize from her father's side. So he had to defeat her father and a dragon to do this. The dragon's defeat, though, was not a bloody one, yet it was how song can conquer the greatest beast. For Orpheus played that harp like no other could. And this harp was used again in this way to put the three-headed dog that guards the gates of Hades to sleep on his wedding night. He returned with the Argonauts, and it was time for his heart to embrace one of those arrows from Cupid's bow. He fell in love with the beautiful Eurydice. But this was a love that would not last long, at least not on earth, for on their very wedding night, after Chiron fell, so did she, a serpent in the grass with deadly poison. And she fell faster than her husband had for her. Orpheus wasn't having it. And he went to that gate of Hades and he played that harp, and the three-headed dog fell asleep, and he entered this place where mortals would not allowed. But his music kept the shades at bay, and he played and he played and he sung the saddest song of true loss, a celebration of one who was taken far too young, and he wasn't having it. And he sang about the way that Pluto would set the record straight, and his song wandered down the paths of hell and found their way to the ears of Persephone, This song of pain reminded her of her own and reminded her of love, life, of light. And she demanded that Pluto listen, and he did, and he remembered these things. And he allowed Orpheus to have his wish. But he struck a chord or a deal and said that Orpheus would have his way, but only if he could keep the faith. And so he was told to walk back to the light, to climb and return to this earth where love had been taken, that for it to return, he would have to trust his love was walking right behind him, though now a shade, she had no footfall, she had no breath to tickle the hairs on the back of his neck. He had to keep the faith. So he played to keep the shades at bay, but now a song of triumph, a song of love, a song of righteousness, a song of justice, a song of balance. And he climbed and he climbed and he climbed to the light, and he walked and he walked and he walked, and he kept the faith in his heart and trust and will and his gut, and he walked and he found his way back to the light, a place which was only dark the night before he descended, and now the flowers could bloom again, and now the birds could once again sing of the rising sun, for he had retrieved his beautiful bride who was taken far too young, and he stepped into that light, and he turned from it and back to the cave to embrace his one and only true love, but too soon. Too soon, just one step too soon. Her left leg still in the darkness of Hades' cave. She was whisked away back into the underworld, and he would not have entrance ever again. But don't despair, friends, there's more. There's more. Orpheus went on to basically really pen the form of music we now call the ballad, because he was just utterly and endlessly depressed. And he sang these sad, sad songs, and they were so real. And they reminded us of the pain here, but of something more, just at the tip of the tongue. And perhaps these are secrets he would have revealed were he not ripped limb from limb by Dionysus' Maenads. Because, they have no space for sad songs. Life is meant to be an orgy, an ecstasy, and that alone. And so when they came across this bard singing his sad poems, they knew that they were to escort him away. And so his arms and legs were taken from him, and his torso, and he was nothing but a head. But a head that survived, a talking head, and one that was thrown and cast away into a river and floated to a cave in an island far away, and was stationed there as a voice of very true prophecy. And the greatest soothsayer, who was not afraid to tell the truth no matter what, especially if it was bad news. And Apollo's oracle at Delphi started losing business to this head who knew the future better than any had before. And of course, the sun could not have it. And so Apollo himself found his way to this dark cave and finished the gig that the Maenads had begun, and finally allowed Orpheus to die and descend, and this time in allegiance with the rules that say the below is only for the dead, for now he had earned that badge. And it is said that many are cursed there to forget, others to remember, and that Orpheus is blessed to remember and know at his lover's side true, undying love, which might just be the strangest and most unappropriate adjective, undying, or maybe the perfect one. So let's talk a little bit more about that after we hear a song from water.
Thank you for retelling and telling and telling. I don't know how much of that story I actually picked up, but I'm just gonna roll with it, okay? How's the volume for you all? Thumbs up? Tell the stories of time, the ones that rise below the horizons. Tell how they'll come back through mine. All of the ways we live and we die. Help me hear the sound of those that scattered across the southern sky. Hold me to the ground so I can gaze and make my own story shine. Space in all it will hold, all of the fighting, destruction I'm told. The stars seem to carry that mold. Yet even in their dying, the stories keep being told over again, again, of how love seems to come to an end, but really it is there we begin, where by the side of death we're returning. I'm live looping in case anybody didn't notice. Timing is everything, just like with the stars and all that we are. And sometimes things get caught up and stuck and go in retrograde or seem like they're not perfectly aligned with everything that we want it to be. But if we just let it rest and sink into what is, the rhythm finds its way, the harmonies makes its play. And we'll always have something to say. Love you seek for me, just as through Orion's bow. The story's been told. I wanna tell a different one of the way you found my soul in my own gaze. I'm braving the darkest night to see sun's rays. As the stars will rise, I'll make my own mythos on a new page. Did we tell each other when we would come back around to see it again, that love would return in the end? By casting and capturing all of my sins, and my wins seem to be the same, all held in the stories, all held in the fountains that drop, drip, drop through the rain. And I'll stay and sit still, alive by the mountains, hold my eyes to the gaze of the lover that has come to uncover my shame. This is my name. I'll sit with the stars, I'll call them again and again, even when they're aligned. Seems problems unfolding, destruction through time, but I will give my mind to the spaces between the spaces of time, where the story is yours and mine, where the lover is always ready to find, where even when we're broken inside from the denying of walking upright, love will catch me when I die. Love will capture me when I cry. Broken inside, love will capture me in time. Love will walk me through my mind. Love will guide me to the heights, the quiet places where I find love is always got my side. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope that it blessed you in a good way.
Underneath the skirt of Sophia, combat the restless search for utopia. So hard to find, yeah, I try to harmonize. Cause even the night lamp ceases to shine from time to time. It's only fair to give one eye the room, the stage, and the spotlight. Cause it wouldn't be justice if not infinite and fractal, if we don't see the worth of lit and only seek to find gold. Cause every push needs a pull, every sun needs a moon, every body a soul, every rise a doom. Everything has a time, like the right dose that won't kill. So when the western wind rises, it's a cold I can heal.
Amazing. Water, thank you so much for that amazing song. And then you just heard from Joe G, who's with us here, Joe Santos. And I would love to hear anything either of you would like to share about the beautiful music you just gave to us. I will say that if anyone was watching the closed captions when Water was singing, the alternative lyrics as suggested by the artificial intelligence was amazingly um, hilarious. It didn't quite hit the mark like you did, Water, but it was nice to see an effort from the robot team.
I hope I get to see that.
Yeah, I don't know how that will work in the recording, but I like sharing the closed caption option because I know that we have folks from many lands and many languages and all that. But it's pretty hilarious, the current attempts by the computer. And it's kind of some can be challenging technology around these times, as we say, as evidenced by my silent story. Water and I actually once recorded a podcast at my home where she played this amazing music. I should actually link the song that she wrote in the moment. I told the story of what was that story? It was like a fairy tale, Rapunzel.
Rapunzel.
Yeah, which is like a Venus Mars story, like astronomical story. And then Water sang this amazing song, and we listened, and it was like, oh, the mic was way distorted, and so we just did it all again, which was like literally, I don't know, like a 90-minute or 2-hour thing. And the song that came through Water at the time, which is "I Will Bring You Roses," like it's an absolute amazing tear in the eye, as are most things Water eye. So Water, thanks so much for being here. It's a treat for people to see you who've known you and for some new folks to meet you, I'm sure.
Thank you for inviting me, Gem, Brett, and thank you all so much for being present in this transitional continuation. Just to say a couple words about my offering, I just have found so many of the mythos of the stories of the constellations to be so much destruction and fighting and death, and I receive some application to my own life just because I'm a human alive. But I also have just spent the last few nights, I was down in Shasta, and I listened to my good teacher Gemini Brett's advice of committing myself to one direction and just gazing at that direction and watching what was happening. And I saw such magnificence in the elliptical phase, the zodiacal constellations just passing through. And I saw a different story. Like, I saw Orion and Taurus as a full-on dragon. I saw like way other stories than the myths that I have heard. And so kind of where I was coming from, because I had a hard time really understanding a lot of the mythos of what was shared. I don't even remember the names that were spoken because my mind doesn't work like that so well, but the story that Gemini Brett told. So I just kind of, in the same way that I receive my own stories from the stars and the skies, kind of just like wrapped all of that into a bundle, and it becomes symbolic to how it can apply to my own experience being a human on this planet. Anyways, I feel like I could babble because I feel like I am right now, but I'm better at singing and making stuff up than I am talking linearly, apparently. But anyways, I am Water Eye as an artist. I'm a little embarrassed right now for some reason because I'm seeing all of these beautiful people's faces. But we all can relate to that, I'm sure of it. Thank you so much for receiving my gifts. They really are. I have this gift to share with you and with people, and you are what brings it out. So somehow this connection, even through the cyber field, constellates us and makes us our own. story, our own mythos. So thank you for being and feeding that story that is us alive. Pass it on. Thank you so much.
Water Eye, what is your website?
So I just put it in the chat. It's water I, like WATREYE.US. And water like creates personal healing songs. It's a very powerful magic. And I really, really highly recommend you find her at watereye.us to connect to her music and her art. You'll find much amazement there. And also reach out to Water and ask her about how you can have a song session. It will change your life in the right way. And this is the first Moon song where we've gotten to hear from Joe. So, Joe, I would love if you would be open to it, if you'd read the lyrics of that song. And I'll put a link in the chat here. And if we put this up on YouTube or someplace, I'll put Water's address and the link to that Rapunzel podcast. And also, I think I have a link to just the I'll Bring You Roses song on my SoundCloud. And then also to a place where you can find Joe and his amazements of music and astrology. So can you tell us a little bit about what inspired that song, Joe? And
yeah, do you want me to read the lyrics first, or do you want me to give it a bit of an explanation before I do it?
Whatever you feel is appropriate. It's your art.
Cool. That's true. So I guess what started the whole idea for this was when I was reading Boethius, and he has a whole book where he's having a conversation with philosophy. And then when philosophy enters the room, one of the first lines that she says is that a lot of the people who worship her and who spend a lot of time with her, they rip her skirt and they take what they want and they leave what they don't like, and they never really appreciate philosophy for all that it is. And I thought that was a really good story for Libra because it tells the beauty of Venus, but also like the death bringing Saturn, and how they're both parts of like the same coin, and they're all beautiful in their own way. So when I wrote the lyrics, I really wanted to capture just as much the influence of Saturn in Libra as much as the obvious influence of Venus in it. But yeah, I'll read the lyrics. So it goes, underneath the skirt of Sophia, torn by the restless search for utopia, so hard to find, yet I try and I try to harmonize. 'Cause even the night lamp ceases to shine from time to time. It's only fair to give one night the room, the stage, and the spotlight. 'Cause it wouldn't be justice if not infinite and fractaled, if we don't see the worth of lead and only seek to find gold. 'Cause every push needs a pull, every sun needs a moon, every body a soul, every rise a doom. Everything has a time, like the right dose that won't kill. So when the western wind rises, it's the cold that can heal.
Amazing. I think I'm going to play the song again.
Cool.
It's a short one, and then we will see what happens. And then this collage is something you created as well, yes?
Yeah, I was doing a whole series of like a collage per day for like whatever was going on with the moon. So that was one of them.
All right, so I'm going to push the end. I love how Mercury snuck his name onto the screen. Because I think you shared with me in the chat that Mercury rising wasn't meant to be there, but it's perfect. All right, so buttons, whereabouts. Okay, hopefully this is heard loud and clear.
Underneath the skirt of Sophia, torn by the restless search for utopia. So hard to find, yeah, I try to harmonize. 'Cause even the night lamp ceases to shine from time to time. It's only fair to give one eye the room, the stage, and the spotlight. 'Cause it wouldn't be justice if not infinite and fractal. If we don't see the worth of lit and only seek to find gold. 'Cause every push needs a pull, every sun needs a moon, every body a soul, every rise a doom. Everything has a time, like the right dose that won't kill. So when the western wind rises, it's a cold that can heal.
It's really such an amazing song, Joe, and like a very new sound, amazing
Thank you.
harmony. Joe is someone I met recently who's a wonderful astrologer, new to the cosmic craft, and I think you'll hear some collaborations from us coming soon because we're talking about starting a new podcast together. Talking about it so much that it will happen, coming soon to a theater called You, and I'm really excited to launch that ship when the stars align. And Joe, so thank you so much for lending that Libra song, right? Venus is a name that we hear so often when Libra is invoked. And traditionally, it's also a place where Saturn is said to be an honored guest. So my tale, it was hard to say if it came through even the second time. I don't know. But that old tale of Orpheus and Eurydice, which perhaps you have heard, or at least I'm sure it resonates in your heart. For me, really, it is this story of keeping the faith after love dies, and then having to release what we think it means for it to be brought back, right? It typically has to not only die and go away if we tend toward falling rather than rising, but that what really needs to die is what we think love is. And when that happens, then it lives eternal. And for me, that story really lives in that place, and love not just between, one and another, but love is love is love is love is love. And it is so many things, as is relating, which is this word that we often use for Libra, right? So we're going to shift soon into more of like a community conversation space. I think what I'm going to do is set up a bunch of different breakout rooms. But first I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to play this song from Erik Deutsch, this soul song that we created. And I'll share the production notes with you that I sent to him. I'm not going to play it all the way through again, but I really love the beginning of this one. And Erik and I have now done a song for, well, we've done like 200 of these songs for natal charts. Some of you have received them from us. It's a really wonderful adventure we're on. I've always looked for ways that I can help people experience their birth chart or the astrology of the time outside of the mind where I tend to dwell. But more in the heart and in the body spaces. And this project has really helped me learn astrology in a new way. It's very hard to explain what happens for me there. So we actually missed last month. We missed the Virgo new moon, but we have committed to creating an album for all of the new moons for next year ahead of time. And so we want that to be available by the solstice. So I'll tell you more about that. And if any of you are interested in having Erik and I create a soul song for your natal chart, you can find at my website.
Can I interrupt just for a moment, because I have a 5 o'clock appointment, but I wanted to ask Joe Santos, what is the name of that painting behind him before I go?
Oh, it's just Celine and Endymion. I don't know who painted it though.
Celine and Endymion. Is that what you
mhm.
said? Okay, great.
Yeah, so you'll find one of the great stories of the moon goddess Selene or Selene is that she cast this spell of sleep over a mortal man that she had fallen in love with so they could dance eternally in the dream. Joe, could you duck but also speak so we see your image large? Anyway, it's a beautiful tale and a beautiful painting. And Joe always wins the highest awards for showing up with magical, mystical, mythological backgrounds, usually appropriate for the day. Okay, so where was I? Oh, yeah. If you are interested in a song of the soul, which is Erik creating basically usually a 12-minute solo piano version of your birth chart, you'll find that at GeminiBrett.com. And I'm going to play this, and I'm just going to share with you the production notes that I sent to him, and then we'll break it down and have a community conversation about this Libra new moon happening. So let me play the song. What do I do? Buttons. Can you see this chart that I'm circling on your screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let me hit play on this song too. This was a fun start. So the way this works is we have, if you speak music, a chromatic map of the 12 signs of the zodiac. And so in this map, we align the sign of Aries with the note or the key A. And then we just go up from there. So Aries to Taurus goes from A to A sharp or B flat. And so one of the challenges of this system is when we have all of these planets in E flat, like we do for 2021's Libra New Moon, where Mars is Cazimi and retrograde Mercury is on the scene, you basically only get in this palette of notes that Erik is allowed to play one E flat, like not four. But I really wanted to keep in many ways. So you'll see what I wrote here, which was New Moon, Mars, Cazimi, with Mercury retrograding in to join the debate, as sometimes do. And this is how this thing works. I'll like key the song either to the ascendant of a birth chart, or in this case, to the sign of the new moon, since I don't want to make this about where I am or where Erik is in Mexico City, but rather about the whole earth. And so the signs are the houses of the earth. And so in this case, I'll key the song to Libra, which we have as E flat or D sharp, depending. And this time we chose E flat. And this E is coming from Venus in Scorpio, and the F from the South Lunar Node, Sagittarius, and E flat from Pluto, and G from the Aquarius duot, and A flat from Neptune, and A from Chiron, and B flat from Uranus and the true black moon Lilith here, and then B for Gemini. So one of the wonderful things, which is actually very Saturnian in this process, is that I give Erik limitations. Like he's not allowed to play B flat. Oh, actually he is. He's not allowed to play C or D flat or D for those notes. Those signs are unoccupied. And if I was writing this for more instruments, I think there would be like a lot of E flat in it, but that's kind of a different tale. So what I do is I give him this like palette of notes. I ask him to accent the visible planets in the ascendant. In the case of these new moon charts, also the lunar nodes. But then he also gets like, this is Pluto, and this is Neptune, and this is Chiron, and this is Uranus and Lilith here at his disposal. But he's asked literally not to play a bunch of notes on the piano, which is a very tricky thing to do, you know? And then he's guided by these production notes and weird symbol scenes. So I'm just going to read them to you. So one that I focused on in this particular chart was that this new moon aligns with Mars. Mars, who you may know, is said to be in detriment in the sign of Libra, which is an interesting thing I would love to talk about in the community conversation to follow. And Mercury's retrograde in the sign as well. So I called that out. And then this is my like production notes for Erik. And then I give him this scene, right? Now you can read those notes if you'd like. It's maybe too long for me to get into now. But the scene is, after a brutal divorce hearing in which neither side wins, a couple realizes for the first time that they truly love one another and go on to lead a happy life. And my hope is that that will inspire Erik to create something with a lot of E-flats, E-flat triads. The next one I called out was Venus-Mars being inconjunct, meaning in these neighboring signs. And semi-square, they're 45 degrees away from one another, which tends to speak of attention. the modern astronomers. And yet, from the traditionalist view, they have what's called mutual reception. Some call it mutual deception, and we'll get into that too. But they're in one another's signs, so I feel like a psychic field available between the two of them. And part of my language, but I guess I should read this straight. The most thrilling tango of all time. The dancers aren't sure if they will kill each other or rip their clothes off and fuck. They wisely choose the latter. Okay, number 3, the new moon and Mars opposite Chiron, which is one of the things that brought me to the Orpheus and Eurydice story as kind of the principal canon for this month's jam. And so these are the harmonic notes for Erik, and I wrote, a master repairs a broken clay pot with molten gold, remembering how only the broken heart could teach him to understand the true meaning of love. And that's an image that I'm really holding at this time and have been experiencing in my sessions, and I can just see in the sessions to come. So finally, retrograde Mercury, Pluto square, and Mercury will square Pluto thrice in this current loop. But then that to bring tension and yet releasing to this quincunx of Mercury and Neptune and of Mercury and the true black moon Lilith, who create this yod, or so-called finger of God. And so I asked him to play like Keith Jarrett gospel style. You would fast forward to that. Here. Yeah, this kind of business. Erik is such a gifted musician, and I will share his website. It's hammerandscream.com. I'll put that in the comments descriptions below. And so this note was an elder woman sings her dying husband his final rest, then sees his soul rise to heaven above, escorted by angels and the child they lost when they were so. So, on one level, Libra is Libra, you know, and any Libra new moon calls us into that energy. And that's true for the globe. And if you're aware of your nativity as well, like I'm Gemini rising, and so Libra is my 5th. Or if you're sun sign inclined, which I'm not personally, I'm a Scorpio, and so Libra's the 12th sign from there. Or if you're tuned into maybe higher timing techniques of our craft, I'm in a Pisces profection year, which puts Libra on the 8th, and maybe that's why I'm really tuning into honoring it through the energies of life and death. But some of that is also because of this Pluto reception from a square with Mercury. I shouldn't really call that reception at all. And that this Libra new moon is with Mars and opposite Chiron, and there's something realer. And I think we experience that and feel that in the air. And I think that many of us are very challenged right now with some of our most important relationships. You know, whether they are at home or the home from which we come, or, you know, we're tuning into the commandments of the television screen, which is demanding we love everyone unless they didn't do this or they did do this, in which case we're supposed to hate them. And like all that being said in the same breath. And it's a really confusing fucking thing. Pardon my language, but I think that's an appropriate place for that. I'm wondering what the robot knows that word. I'm looking at the transcript below. Good. So we're all growing, including the AI. And it ain't always easy, and it ain't always balanced. I want to share, because I did this too quickly, this beautiful piece of art from Kathleen Schmieder, who has been contributing collage like this or paintings to these moon songs since we started them up at Eclipse Time some months ago. And I'm really looking forward to Kathleen being here to speak about what drives these visions that she has at some point. But I will also share her link in the chat in the places, which is mind with a Y, mindscaping.net. we want to make this moon song thing more collaborative over the course of a lunation, where we will gather together at new moon time like this and kind of plant seeds musically and demand creativity. And then the other side of it, and it's not going to happen yet, but coming soon to a theater called You, will be at full moon. We get together and share our paintings and poems and all the things that we did in response to the creative commandment of the alignment of the moon and the sun. And I'm seeing, like, I don't know if they're cash prizes or readings or songs or who knows, for like whoever the art board chooses the piece of the month, or who knows, but also just places where we can come together in creativity, in creation, for art is the gateway to the soul of the heart. All right. You might see no moon on my face, but a lot of sun. And imagine the truth, which is I kind of feel like I'm burning alive. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a bunch of breakout rooms. As you are free to kind of share your mics and go for it. I think we have probably too many voices in this one room for that to go down. But we'll see how that goes. We're all polite people and we're working on that too. I'm actually going to stop this recording and start a new one. So for the sake of the recording that has happened, thanks. And you know what? Actually, I'm not going to record this next bit at all. And Joe, I'll ask you please to stop your recording so we can have some anonymity.